like your shirt.
Thank you.
In fact,
Yeah.
this whole setup is fantastic. I take it you've been doing a few Zoom calls over the last couple of years.
Well, I work from home, so like this is where I spend, probably 70-80% of my waking hours. So
That's fair. I've been slowly transitioning this office that I've been using, and like I have plans for this back wall, maybe like some wallpaper or something, but there's lots that you could do. So right now it's boring. Right now it's a blank slate.
it's
So.
very modern.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really a statement piece
Right.
on the industrialization of the modern home.
On the general graying of life. Yes.
Thank you for joining me today, Forrest, on Starting Seeds. I'd love to hear what you've been up to lately, like what you kind of do, if you want to introduce yourself, what you do during the day.
So I live back home now in Louisville, Kentucky. I mean, we met in Macon, Georgia, right?
Yeah.
For sure. So far away miles, I guess. But I work as an instructional designer now. So I'm like using my degree. Yay.
For the people at home, what does an instructional designer do?
I build training. That's what I do, whether it be like e-learning or, virtual instructor led. I've done a little bit of like classroom stuff or print documents, quick reference guides, job aids, yada, yada, yada. Some like video stuff, I guess, like a little bit of everything, but pretty much I build training. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. And have you been doing that at the same company for a while, or have you moved around a little bit?
I've been at my current company for, I guess, a year and a half now. I started in December of 2020. So yeah, about that. But I've worked in a ton of different industries. Right now I work at a tech company based out of Raleigh, but I've worked in healthcare and telecom and consulting and AV industries. Like most people, I feel like nowadays you bounce around every couple of years,
Mm-hmm. Always something new to do, always something else to learn.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're using your degree. Is that something that is felt natural for you? Is it something that, this is kind of like an extension of how you process things in the world? Or is it just kind of like been a learned thing that you get to kind of mix creativity with? Like what are the genius zones that you've been able to apply?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, my degree choice and the industry that I moved in was more about like security than like passion, right? Not to say that I don't have any passion for instructional design. Like I get excited about what I do and it's fun to see learners really like grasp what we're trying to teach them and those beautiful moments, you know what I mean? But I think especially when you grow up kind of through the early 2000s and just like the state of the world now, like it's less about passion and more about like security. So instructional design is a growing field and there's plenty of jobs out there. And the compensation is fair, unlike a lot of other jobs that you could do. So, that was kind of like the original reason why I went this direction. There was like an aha moment in a class that I took that like, oh, that's cool. Like thinking about like the learner and not, the product. Like that aha moment was like, okay, let me see where this is going. This is interesting. But I think I've discovered more of the passion side as I've done this job. It didn't start out that way, but it's kind of become that, I guess.
I think that's really been an interesting thing because like from my side, like I'm not using my degree at all. So good on you for using your degree. But I think it's been really interesting that I think that that's sort of mindset of applying security principle, like they say that necessity is the mother of invention. And I think that there's a certain amount of constraints that actually help people be creative. And so I love that, you're using kind of what you've experienced to create like the work that you're doing. I think that we often laud like passion projects and we forget that security is important. You need to feel safe. You need to have that hierarchy of needs met before you can actually go and do more stuff. And I think that's kind of the point of this podcast is like, I think that being able to be in the dirt is kind of like a key thing for humanity. Like we have our needs met. We feel like we're taking care of other things, and then we can feel like we can take care of ourselves. So that's my hypothesis. We'll figure it out together. But So we've followed each other on Instagram for a while,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've admired your garden. It is beautiful. Will you tell me a little bit about what got you started in gardening and kind of what your setup is?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I guess gardening really started with my mom, right? Like we had a garden as long as I can remember. There's been some sort of garden in the backyard, right? Whether it was, like one little square. Like I remember dad helping build like the little raised beds, when I was very young, and I remember helping her plant carrots. That was like my favorite thing to plant carrots. But we've like always had a garden. Friends that I've had or mentors growing up. I remember my friend Glenn. He had a wood shop, and I would help him when I was a kid. But he had like a half-acre garden, like a huge garden. Um,
Mm.
and so I feel like gardening's always kind of been there, and it's been fun to, especially as a kid, like, oh, we're eating this and we grew it. Like I remember what used to be that little dirt patch is now like the carrots that are in my lunch. So um, gardening has always been there, always been like a fun thing to do. I mean, that's what started out as a kid is like, fun. But now that um, I struggle with calling myself an adult, but an adult, right, in the eyes of like society.
Right.
Um,
Not by choice.
and no, 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 we're forced to be there. Um, I think it's more about like connecting myself more with the food that I eat, and
Mm.
I think there's some therapy in there too, and commitment to the values that I hold of like sustainability and think global but act local. Like it's more than just let me have some fun in the garden. It is that still, but like let me see what I can do to make sure I'm the best person I can be. And I think a garden's an extension of that. As far as like the physical setup of the garden, right? It's like I'd say it's like a quarter of my backyard. I have a dog. This is Dave.
Hi,
Um,
Dave.
yeah,
Thank
he's
you for being
having
on today, Dave.
he's the man. But he is not the best garden companion, so I had to like fence off the section. He likes to eat flowers and dig holes and that kind of thing. Like he's a puppy, right? He's not even two. So um, I have 4 square beds that are like 4 by 4, and then 3 round beds that are like 36 inches in diameter. Um, and then I have like small reusable containers, right? Like you mentioned earlier that like I think necessity breeds creativity,
Mm.
So like I have old like recycling bins that are like potato containers, and I used to work for a brewery, and I got some 55-gallon drums from them and like cut them in half and made that into a container. So it's a little bit of a mishmash of everything, but it's my little space, and it grows some food for me. So
I really love that. I think that I think our approaches are kind of similar. It's like what can I offset? I don't want to use a lot of like dime words or big concepts because I think a lot of them can be um, divisive. Like there's a lot of words that have a lot of baggage, but I like to make sure that I'm walking softly in this world.
mhm.
And so it's like, well, what can what am I normally going to the grocery and getting a plastic bag and putting the produce in that I can easily grow here certain seasons, or it's even better that I can grow here. So that have you always been kind of like is that a token of our generation to be trying to reduce that, or where do you think that thought process came from for you to be more sustainable?
Oh, it comes from my upbringing, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I can draw a direct line from how my parents raised me and how they try to live their lives to what I try to do in my life now. They are very crunchy people. They're. I mean, my name's Forrest. What more evidence do you need? So they've always been environmentally conscious, sustainable people as much as they can afford. I feel like there's uh, a lot of pressure on people now to like do everything to be as sustainable as possible, but that's still kind of expensive. So like do what you can. We're all just trying to be the best little versions of ourselves. So whatever you can, whether it's trying to grow most of your own tomatoes or go to the farmers market once a month or whatever. So I think that came from my parents for sure. I mean, um, yeah, they've always been that way, and it kind of passed down to me.
I think that's cool. I think the whole lineage of like not You have, and for your case, it's like literal lineage. And I think, like in my case, my parents didn't initially grow anything, but like I knew people. I had professors that grew things. I had friends that had gardens. I remember one time my father received payment for helping someone with his computer by us loading up the back of a Toyota Corolla with corn. And so, like, I think it's interesting when you consider the cross sections of our lives. Like, it's not necessarily a lineage of bloodline all the time. But it's like what touches you and kind of what shapes your values. So I really love that that's something that was taught to you and encouraged. And I never really put that together. Forrest, of course, very crunchy.
Yeah, super crunchy. I mean, Dad makes his own granola. If you're not a hippie after that, like
That's so good. So you got your little garden that you fenced off, so blessed Dave doesn't get back there. What do you grow year round? Do you just grow in the summer? What's your patterns for planting? And then like what has always done well for you?
yeah, for sure. So I think in my current garden, this is, I guess, my third season. I would say I bought my house in 2020. So that was the first kind of like, I felt like sustainable place I could put a garden, like the rental properties were fine with me building garden boxes or whatever, but I wasn't gonna be able to take them with me. So we had some like containers and stuff back then, but not anything crazy. I think this last year I did grow year round. I put some garlic. I made like one bed of garlic, and that did really well. And that was kind of like my first foray into not only growing in like spring, summer, into fall, that kind of thing. I always grow like the standard tomatoes, peppers, those kind of things. But now that I have a lot of space, I really tried to grow as much as possible at the beginning of this year. My favorite thing to grow is snap peas. I mean, that's like candy in the garden, if you ask me. Most of them don't even make it into the house.
I'm guilty of that too. Well, and
Yeah.
it's so fun because they grow so quickly,
Mhm.
and you've got the little shoots that you can eat, or yeah, when you finally have the peas and you just like take them off. And I'm always like, I'm only walking inside with three. I might as well just eat those as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure. For sure. They're the best. I love snap peas.
mhm.
That's my favorite thing to grow for sure. But I try to grow as much as possible. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. Like I tried beets this year and I got an okay amount, but some of them didn't. And I definitely didn't plant them far enough apart, that kind of thing. I'm very much a just get it in the ground and see what happens kind of gardener, you know? Um,
I think that's what's really interesting about a lot of gardening. I was actually about to ask you if you knew what zone hardiness you were in, or if you literally just threw stuff in the ground.
I
Do
mean,
you,
I think I'm like a 6B, 7A, something like that. Yeah. Six
yeah,
or seven.
I have a vague understanding of that. Mostly I just look in the back of the seeds and I'm like, okay, this is where I am on this little colored line here. Um, but for any listeners who don't know what zone hardiness is, it's basically like where you are on the globe. It's going to have different lengths of growing season and different times that things uh, are best planted, because like snap peas are cooler weather
Mhm.
plant. Tomatoes, obviously, those are summer, joyful summer plants. But when is normal for you to plant in
Yeah.
Kentucky for summer garden?
Yeah. So lots of people in Kentucky say that like starting your garden in Derby, right? Like Derby week is kind of the situation. So like beginning of May, kind of
That is
around
like a
there. Yeah.
Kentucky thing to say. I
Oh
love
yeah.
that.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I would
Yeah.
have
Well, I
started.
mean,
Sorry.
it's like, growing up in Kentucky, and I'm sure like all of rural America, right? And even some in urban America, but there's like all these sayings, right? Like your corn should be knee high by 4th of July. Like that's
Oh
another
my
one. Um, I don't have enough space to grow corn by any means. I think corn needs a lot of space. I remember one time as a kid we tried to grow corn, and it just like wasn't populating, like it wasn't growing as much. And I think we just like pulled a tassel off of one and tried to like be a bee, and kind of move around and pollinate. But anyway, I'm getting much off topic. Corn's a tough
God.
one, definitely. Yeah, I would say, May, April is when I try to get the garden going.
Mhm.
Um, I always try to start seeds inside, but I'm just so bad at it. Oh
I
man, I'm
am
so
too.
oh,
I
it's
am
so
too. I'm like so good and they get to be like, an inch, inch
Mhm.
and a half. And then like there's a period where I should be transplanting it into maybe a larger pot or something. And then I just get distracted.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever in the 4 years I've had a garden, I don't think I've ever um planted something from straight from seed inside and then transplanted. I've done it straight seed in the garden itself, but
Mhm.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
It's hard. I mean, you go down the like YouTube rabbit hole, right? Of like, how do I do this? And they talk about, light conditions, and some people even have like fans blowing, and all this. And I have like a little grow light and like a little tray, and try, and every year I'm gonna do this different, or I'm gonna do that different, and one day I'll figure it out. But there's no shame in going to the garden center, or here in Louisville there's a nonprofit called Louisville Grows that does a seeds and start program in the spring and fall, so I try to get from there if I can. But there's plenty of places and ways to get starts, and there's no shame in that. I wouldn't have a garden if I could only start from seed and inside.
Well, I think that that's one of the things that I love about gardening is like you said, just plant something and see what happens. One of the first rules that I learned when I was planting a garden was to plant something, and then the plant that does the best, keep some seeds from that one because it's acclimated to your soil. It obviously does well in your soil, and I think that's something that yeah, you can go and get your soil tested, you can do all this other stuff, but like nothing is going to be able to optimize your growing as much as your own experience, as much as something that's actually done it, has actually been in it. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. So you've grown tomatoes, you've grown snap peas. You guys have attempted to grow corn, and not a big fan of that. Is there anything personally in your garden you've wanted to grow and it's not done good?
Yeah, yeah. I have an ongoing battle with herbs. I am
Really?
so bad at growing herbs. Oh my goodness. I don't know. So I've always tried to do like container herbs, right? Like even when I rented, I had this like little, kind of like square, kind of mobile container that I would plant some herbs in, and they never do well. Like they'll grow like a little bit and then just like die. Maybe I don't water
Mhm.
them enough. Like on the back of my house, like I have a little deck, and those little like coconut core kind of, rail baskets.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, so I've tried to grow them there before. They just don't. I'm just so bad at herbs. I would love to be able to do herbs, right? Like fresh herbs is such a great thing for cooking, or anything you want to do with herbs. But I'm really bad at herbs for sure.
Any particular herbs? Like just all of them?
Oh, all of them. Like even like I've tried basil and thyme and rosemary, and I will say I don't know if this counts as an herb or not, but my house came with mint like along the back porch, and like that grows like a weed. Like you can't get rid of mint, so there's plenty of mint. Um, but anything else I've tried herb wise, I don't know. I just never like dedicated like a raised bed to it. It's always been like small containers. So maybe that's what I need to do is like put some things in actual ground. But
So it's amazing how that helps sometimes. Rosemary, that has done okay. I was surprised at how well parsley does. Very
oh,
resilient. But the thing that has been the bane of my herb existence is cilantro. It's so delicate.
mhm.
Um, I had a friend once who was like, "I'm going to grow cilantro," and I was like, "Good luck." It was like it makes me spiteful. Like it's one of those things. Like I hate buying basil because it's somewhat easy to grow. But cilantro, 100% every single time I buy cilantro every week, it is what it is. That is the cost of me living.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so that's what it is. Yeah,
sure.
it's not like
I know some people have even had success with like growing basil as a house plant. I think
oh.
um, a friend of mine had a pot of basil just in her living room. Um, so I think you can grow it as a house plant. I've never tried before. I need elevated surfaces, because of little pal back there. But
Oh, Dave, he's so helpful. What is your watering setup? Do you water by hand, or do you have like?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. I usually water by hand. I have a rain barrel. I try to
Mhm.
collect rainwater if I can. In the summer it runs out pretty quickly. I when the plants are young and it's dry out, I try to water every day. That kind of thing. Mulching is imperative. Have to mulch. Gotta mulch. It'll save you so much in watering. Like if there's one tip I could give anybody, it was just like put mulch down. Just do it. Whether
Really
it's
good.
like grass clippings, that's totally fine. If you get straw, fine. Like leaves in the fall, like I'll try to like bag up leaves and just like throw them under the deck, just because they're just so
That's really
useful. But
clever.
yeah.
Yeah. So you've got, I mean, you have them already. They're
Mhm.
available. That's really good. That's really good. I would have never thought of just bagging up the leaves and keeping them around as a resource.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
love
yeah. I
that.
mean, if you have a place to throw some bags of leaves, yeah, do it for
I
sure.
mean,
Gotta mulch.
yeah, over the summer, especially when it's warm. What are the highs in Kentucky during the summer?
Oh, I mean, we can break 100 for sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
It usually stays in the 90s, I guess, for highs, 80s.
Hmm.
It's been a weird year, for sure. Like we had a spring that was much longer than normal as far as like tepid temperatures go. Um, and then even August was not as hot as it usually is. Who knows what's going on with the climate nowadays? But yeah, so I mean, the summers can be quite hot, always humid, always. We live close to the river here in Louisville, so that helps. But um, yeah, highs in the 90s, can break 100 every now and then, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But
I mean, Kentucky. Every time I've not spent a lot of time in Kentucky. I did go to like West Virginia. I think all of the time that I am in Kentucky, it's driving through Kentucky.
mhm.
But like I think it's quite beautiful because of the mountains and it's very green. It's
Yeah,
one of those
yeah.
places that I do want to spend more time.
I will say that, being from here, I guess I have a bias, but Kentucky is not what its reputation is. Like most states, right? Like I think that's very true. But uh, we have a very diverse population here. I mean, we're predominantly white, of course, but there's a lot of diversity and cool things that are happening here. And for anyone who has a thought of what Kentucky is, like, come here, visit. I will show you the true Kentucky. We are much more than what the news may say.
I love it. I mean, I think that's very true. There's so many times that we make these broad generalizations and we really have no clue what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Much like we're talking about, you have to know what your soil is going to grow by just putting something in the soil. You can't just say, okay, well, here's a test or whatever. Those can help guide your decision,
Sure.
but it's not your decision in the end.
Well,
So
I love what you said earlier about just like throw something in the ground, right? Like my favorite gardening story is my great Aunt Vala, right? Even she had a garden forever, like a huge like half-acre garden behind her house, but she lived well into her 90s, and in her
mm,
later years, she would just buy a bag of like garden soil, cut a slit in it and stick like a tomato start in it. And like that at the end, like she would grow tomatoes that way. So no matter what your situation is, like just buy a bag of soil, cut a hole in it, and put a plant in there and see what happens. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you can grow something.
I think that's really good. I've talked to a lot of people and getting this started, and some people are like, yeah, I have a garden, I grow every year, and somewhat successful. I've got people who are like, I'm not successful, but I try every year, and then I've got people who are like, I kill everything, and I think that maybe they just haven't found the right plant, maybe they just haven't found the right process for that works for them. So I'm always like, yeah, just try something else. I've had tons of iterations of gardens that had various degrees of success. A lot of them ended up in failure. Um, so that's just how it is. But I love that about your great aunt.
Great Aunt Vala.
So the next question is kind of maybe more poetic than the other ones, but is there anything in particular that you've learned in the garden that's kind of bled over into the rest of your life? Obviously, you're talking about as a child. You have all this family also who had gardens that you're just kind of surrounded by it. But are there lessons that in gardening, in iterating, and whatever that you've kind of tangibly been able to take
Mhm.
along with you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's funny how my garden often like reflects what I feel like the state of my life is, you know?
Mm.
Like I'll go out there and maybe I haven't weeded in a month when there's ankle high grass in the bed, you know, and that maybe that's a reflection of how I feel about my life. Like it's just been busy, or I'm not taking care of the things that I'm supposed to take care of, right?
Mm.
Um, but even if you dig into that grass a little bit, there might be a tomato plant that's growing, or a carrot that you forgot to harvest that's just huge now. So, like, I think the things that I've learned from my garden is it's okay to just take life as it comes to you. Like, I feel like sometimes we're always like pushing to the next thing, pushing to the next thing, and pushing to the next thing. And like stuff will grow if you just leave it alone and you just let it happen to you. Life doesn't stop, and sometimes you'll get that little carrot out of the weeds. You know, it's okay to not harvest your tomatoes every day and just let some things die on the vine. That's okay. Uh, Life is going to happen. It happens to your garden. It'll happen to you, and we'll all just be okay at the end. Turn your soil over at the end of the season and grow something new next year.
I think that's really, I think that's really good. You know, people that I ask, like, do you have a garden? Is that something that you enjoy doing? And immediately they're thinking of those better homes and gardens, those, you know, this beautiful and everything's in line rows of stuff. And you know, nature is much more messy than that. The only reason we have plants, the only reason we have things like berries is because they evolved tenaciously to exist in whatever environment. And so I think it's always really interesting when you know we get onto ourselves for not being on top of things. And I love your little analogy there, where sometimes when you let something lie, there are other gifts that are hidden when you come back around to it. Um, I think that we joked about my blank wall here about it being like commentary on the industrialization of the home. But I think that there's so many things that we sterilize when it comes to the world that we actually live in. You know, all of our groceries are coming from a big box store. We don't know where, if you eat meat, what that process looks like. You know, it's just kind of, we're used to this very clean white little package that we throw in a cart and scan with a white and black barcode and take home and put in the microwave. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I think fed is best. But I think it's definitely one of those things that we forget that sometimes in the mess, things grow in good ways. So I really like that analogy.
I think the other thing I've learned is just from the garden is how much I didn't know about the food that I eat, you know. And just as a small example, right? Potato plants grow berries.
What?
Yeah, they produce berries.
Uh, uh, what color berry?
They're
Red
green.
berries? Green berries?
They're green. They're like green, and they look like little green cherry tomatoes. I had no idea.
I'm Googling them.
Like Yukon Gold tomatoes potatoes for the first time this year, and like I let them go, and they flowered, which was surprising to me. And then there was like a little berry. Apparently, they're poisonous, so don't eat them.
That's literally going to be my next question.
Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't eat it. I googled. Like, this is
don't
a
eat
potato
them.
berry. What's going on?
So they make berries. That is too cool. Is that why they're called apples? No, they're potatoes we grown. Huh.
Yeah,
Huh.
isn't that wild? And it's like you just until you grow something, you have like no idea. Like it's just like you said, it's a thing in a bin at the store, you know, and that's fine. Like we need to appreciate what the like the growth of farming has done for us as a species, right? Like it's not all good or bad, but like when you grow something, it's like who knew that a potato made a berry? I didn't know that, you know, and those are kind of cool things to discover along the way.
That is super cool. I learned something. I mean, I've learned a few things from you today, but that's really interesting. I had no clue. I've not successfully grown potatoes either, so I love that. I do want to bring up the beans that you grew most
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
You said that there was a big story behind those beans, and we'll have a picture up, I'm sure. But will you tell me a little bit about what you planted this year?
Yeah. So I grew I guess they're a black bean. I don't know. Like when they're dried, they come out black. So I guess that's a black bean. But I was in kind of like my local seed store, I guess. St. Matthew's Feed and Seed, if you're local. And they have like an heirloom section of seeds there, right? And I saw this package, and it said like Cherokee Trail of Tears beans, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like I wanted to grow black beans, and on the back of the package, it talked about how this guy saved them and put them into the heirloom seed program. And apparently, like the Cherokee Indians, which is native to like Tennessee, a little bit of Kentucky, that area, they carried them with them on the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma, where they were, eventually settled. And they've been saved like all these years, right? And I was like, okay, I'm going to grow these beans and like let me see how it is. Like it started 100% as I want to grow black beans. This seems like a cool option. You know what I mean? But it as I grew them, like they were a pole variety, and so I gave them about 4 feet of pole space, which was it needed 3 times that much. You know what I mean?
Goodness.
And every time I went in the garden, I was like, this is cool. Like I think these beans were grown here at some point way back in the day. It made me feel connected more to the ground and trying to just be something that was here originally. The garden can be connected to so many different parts of life, whether it be your life or someone else's life. And there's heirloom varieties of seeds that came out of Benjamin Franklin's garden. The seed saving process is such a cool part of the garden, and how it connects people to even the first people here in the United States. So it was a little reminder for me that I'm a product of colonialism, and I need to respect who came first and educate myself. And it's just a little reminder in my garden. And secondarily to that, I think, is these beans grew insanely fast and big, and I didn't give them enough space. And they a month in, they were up the trellis, and then like all the way back down to the ground growing over. And so just a little lesson on how to grow it right. But I'm going to try to save some seeds, and you can get them online if you want to, from like heirloom seed websites, that kind of thing. But it was just a nice little reminder.
I think it's also maybe a good place to note that like biodiversity, the biodiversity of seeds is like really important for not just like for our agriculture, but like for making sure that evolutionarily something doesn't get wiped out completely by some other vector. I think we're, we go to the grocery and we're familiar with Roma tomatoes, or we're familiar with, there's certain brands or breeds of things, like bananas are notorious for this. Like there's one type of banana that is available now in the groceries, and there used to be a different one 100 years ago, but that one got destroyed by some virus. And so I think that we often look at heirloom seeds as something delicate or something that is just a fun thing to pursue. But I think that having those in even a hobbyist garden is a really great way, not only to connect, but also to propagate and continue that sort of biodiversity that is necessary for us to keep being able to produce things in the world. So, yeah, I think, well, I won't get into GMOs. I won't get into GMOs. I mean, but I think, GMOs are such a dirty word, right? But like really all it is this plant does well in this sort of condition. So let's just use more of this plant. It's just like us using our good human brains to make sure that we can keep moving forward. I mean,
GMOs are so much more complicated than like this person in a lab made a pest resistant variety of that, right? Like
right.
If you research like how corn started, right? Like the big corn that we see now is not the beginning of corn, right? And it's not like we designed it in a lab that way. Like of course some of that happened, but it's also like picking the strongest variety, like they say with garlic, for example, you should save your biggest bulbs, right? And plant those next year, so your next year's bulbs are bigger, and like extend that across all the generations. And now you have big garlic, you know what I mean?
I think it really goes to show how short-sighted we can be. I think I heard a quote once that we overestimate what can be done in a year and underestimate what can be done in 5. And I think that gardening is a great example of that. Like you said, with the pole beans, you weren't expecting them to grow like they did in those first couple of weeks. I think that happens a lot where I walk into the garden and I'm surprised. I forget about how quickly time passes and yet how slowly it passes as well. So, any other lessons from the garden you already gave us like 3 really great ones. So I'm not asking you to dig deep, but I just wanted to make sure that you were happy with what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, I would say just do it, just grow something. Whether it's a house plant or, a full half-acre garden in the ground, just plant something. And if it dies, fine, plant something else,
That's a
And
part of it.
if you don't want to grow a garden, that's okay too, I would encourage you to support your local farms, go to your farmers markets, those kind of things. If you want to feel a little bit more connected to the food you eat, you can do that for sure, but give it a go, grow something.
I love that. So this season, I know we're rolling into fall. Are you planting anything tangibly? And then with that, is there anywhere that you're volunteering, or is there anything that you're doing with your work that you'd like to share?
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely going to do garlic again. I was pretty successful with my garlic. I think I grew like 36 bulbs
Wow.
this year, which for a first go around, I was very happy. Some of them were like really small, but some of them are, pretty big. So I'll definitely do garlic again. I've been toying around with the idea of like a low tunnel for, like the kales and the hardy greens to see how far I can stretch those. That kind of thing, but we'll see how that goes. Definitely garlic. And as far as things people should know about, it's all going to be very Louisville specific.
I love it.
Louisville Grows is a great nonprofit that you should support if you're around here, or if you want to, throw support at a non-local. They do a Seeds and Starts program. They're also dedicated to revitalizing the canopy of Louisville. Like, cities are heat islands, and if we can grow trees here, so they do a lot of like free tree planting, that kind of stuff, as well as support for getting community gardens off the ground. So Louisville Grows is a great nonprofit if you want to support something there. And then go to your local farmers market. Most of the time they happen on the weekends, Saturday, Sundays, that kind of thing. Meet the other farmers, like talk to them about gardening, buy their goods. If you want to learn how to grow something in your local area, a farmer is the person to talk to, 100%. I go to the St. Matthews Farmers Market. It runs through the end of September. So, there's other ones that run all year round. So just get involved in your local agriculture, for sure.
I think that's really good. I love your comment about talking to farmers. I think that so often we forget that there is a real person with a real livelihood behind what we're eating. And so it's really interesting not only to get ideas about gardening, but sometimes they'll do plant days where they need help putting something new in the garden, or they need help weeding or something. Like I went and weeded asparagus once with a local farm, and it was a really great opportunity to actively contribute to my community without having to be responsible for it for myself. So that was pretty cool. But aside from plants, is there anything that you're involved in that you feel like people might want to know about?
Outside of gardening, kind of my main hobby. I board game too. So, I like board games.
Yeah. Give us, what's the board game that you've been enjoying the most lately?
My favorite board game is called Parks.
Okay.
It's a national parks kind of themed board game. You're kind of hiking trails along the way. And it was kind of designed around like a print series they did for the national parks. So it's called Parks. Go play Parks. It's my favorite. For sure. I went to Gen Con last month, which is like one of the biggest board gaming conventions in the world. That's a ton of fun. Go do that. For sure. But yeah, plant a garden, play a board game, stop looking at your screens.
I think that's probably going to be the quote for you for this session is plant a garden, play a board game.
I like
Forrest
it.
Corbett. Done. Yeah, you can put that on your LinkedIn, quoting you.
I like it. I like it.
Forrest, thank you so much for your time today. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed talking to you, getting to hear about your garden and the things that you have going on in your life. And I look forward to having more conversations next year after you start your fall garden.
It was good catching up with you and talking gardens with you. I'm always down for a conversation about gardens, through a podcast or not. It was awesome.
We'll do it again. Thank you so much for your time today, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Should gargle? Should I gargle? Should I go get some Listerine? Should I sing? How do people warm up? I don't know. How do people warm up? Just a conversation with friends. Nothing to be nervous about. Nothing to overthink. Just to get to enjoy people. Just get to enjoy my people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.